Hey everybody, it is I, your coach Melanie Black, and today we are going to talk all about productivity, doing more with less. We're going to be talking about, all the other self-development productivity things that are adjacent to, next to my actual expertise. So I'm a personal trainer, sports nutritionist, and a body positive fitness coach. I love self-improvement stuff, although I am not necessarily a life coach. So in these videos, I can be very open, very honest with you about what I think actually works and actually doesn't when it comes to self-improvement and productivity. After all, yes, I'm a business owner. I've got a side hustle. I've got a family. I've got all these things that I'm juggling. And just like you, I want to be more efficient, more productive, and actually enjoy what I'm doing and enjoy the process. And there's a lot to juggle in our everyday lives. So we get bombarded with all of these different seemingly conflicting messages, things like, oh yeah, do more, put in the reps, and also minimalism, like have less stuff, and also work smarter, not harder. And work smarter, not harder, by the way, I think is probably one of the most overused phrases when it comes to things associated with productivity. Because here's the problem with work smarter, not harder. Until you have worked hard, you don't know what smart is. Until you have put in the reps and done the dang thing for a while, you don't know what smart is. So I feel like we're under a lot of pressure at all times to be super, super streamlined and efficient with everything that you do. And I would say that my number one piece of advice to you, whether you are trying to adopt new habits, become more efficient at your work, start into a new fitness program, a new diet, exercise, nutrition routine, my number one piece of advice that I can give to you is just do the reps. Be sloppy, be imperfect, just do the freaking reps. Just do it over and over and over again. So yeah, it's hard work. I don't think there's any getting around this aspect of it, and I think that a lot of this concept of work smarter, not harder, is something that, yeah, like, you want to get to a point where if you recognize that there are areas in which you can cut back the amount of work and work smarter, not harder, you do that. But I don't think it's good advice for anyone who is just starting out in any endeavor, whether that is in your art, in your expertise, in your field, in your job, whatever it is. The first thing you need to do is to do more, to put in those reps, to find out what actually works for you, and to build the muscle memory, to build the thought memory, the repetitions. Even if those repetitions are not perfect, will give you the information you need to be successful later on. To really drive this point home, and before I go off on too much of a tangent, let me read you an excerpt from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. I think that this particular excerpt from this book sums the concept we're going for tonight up nicely. And in his book, he's calling it The Danger of Aiming for Perfection. On the first day of class, Jerry Usman, a professor at the University of Florida, divided his film photography students into two groups. Everyone on the left side of the classroom, he explained, would be in the quality group. They would be graded, on the quantity group. They would be in the quantity group, okay? They would be graded solely on the amount of work they produced. On the final day of class, he would tally the number of photos submitted by each student. 100 photos would rate an A, 90 photos a B, 80 photos a C, and so on. Meanwhile, everyone on the right side of the room, they would be in the quality group. They would be graded only on the excellence of their work. They would need to produce one photo during the semester, but to get an A, it had to be a nearly perfect image. At the end of the term, he was surprised to find that all of the best photos were produced by the quantity group. During the semester, these students were busy taking photos, experimenting with composition and lighting, testing out various methods in the darkroom, and learning from their mistakes. In the process of creating hundreds of photos, they honed their skills. Meanwhile, the quality group sat around and speculated about perfection, and in the end, they had little to show for their efforts other than unverified theories and one mediocre photo. So that is the concept of putting in the reps. Everything I deal with in when it comes to physical activity, it's not just about finding that one perfect exercise. Like, you could have the most effective exercise in the world, but if you're not putting in the reps, the repetitions, doing that exercise over and over and over again, you will not reap the benefits from it. If you're on the most effective diet plan ever, but you're only doing it for a week, you're not going to reap the benefits of it. So you have to really settle into this mindset of do more. Just do more. Put in those reps and dig in, and don't feel like. I think a lot of this is a mindset problem, right? We've been sold on this idea of convenience. Everything has to be convenient and fast and now. And not everything does, especially when it's something that you enjoy or something that you have a curiosity or an interest in. And this is the one thing that is key. The thing that will make the difference between whether it feels like grueling work or like play is your curiosity. If you are not a curious person, then doing more is torture, right? If you're not curious about the outcome, if you're not curious about how to improve, if you're not curious about the process, about the little nuances, then you are not going to improve. You're going to slog through it, and you're not going to notice those details that you can actually improve on. When it comes to physical things, minor adjustments, even on simple exercises like the bicep curl. Oh, how I love the bicep curl. And let's take that as an example. Everybody knows what a bicep curl is. You do this, right? But there's so much more to it. As you get deeper into your practice, deeper into your exercise, you will find that your stance makes a difference. Your core tension makes a difference. How you grip and with which fingers and how much pressure all make a difference in your muscle recruitment and how you are working the biceps. There is a lot in this one simple exercise. It's not just bringing the weight up and down, but you would never know that unless you are doing them for a while and experimenting and be like, what happens if I crush my grip this way? What happens if I stand a little wider or a little narrower? Where do I feel this in my core, even though it is an arm exercise? All of these different things, once we are able to have that curiosity, and I'm not just talking about exercise, but no matter what it is, once you start noticing the minute little details of those things, then you can start making intelligent decisions about how to work smarter, not harder, right? Then you can start making intelligent decisions about how to do more with less, which, as somebody who's very interested in minimalism, I absolutely love this. But here again, how do I know what I don't need or need if I don't know what I need to do the thing correctly? And how would I even know anything about anything if I didn't put in the repetitions, right? I just wouldn't know. I could theorize all day long, but until I put in the repetitions to actually find out, I wouldn't know. I just spent 3 weeks transitioning my cats over to a new type of cat litter, and just being curious about, like, why is this cat litter better, and how do I transition a cat from one into the other, and how do I do this, and putting in the reps of getting them used to it every day, because my cats are very slow to change. Training cats is not easy, right? And I wanted to make sure that I did it in such a way that they weren't going to start pooping in my closet. So having enough curiosity and patience and putting in the reps to do over and over and over again means that now I have a cheaper, more sustainable cat litter that I don't have to get as much dust in my face and all this kind of stuff. So and for anyone who's curious, it is the pine pellets rather than the clay litter with a sifting bottom. And it's awesome. If you actually have questions on that, if you have cats, you can leave them in the comments. But yes, 3 almost 4 weeks on this thing, plus researching and all this kind of stuff. So and no matter what you do, there is no such thing as fast, right? These YouTube live videos, even just learning the software for these and putting the cool little graphics and getting my fancy lights that change color that I like, even though I know they're really tacky, I don't care, I love them. Love my color changing lights. All of these various things, I've been doing these lives for like 63 days straight now, something crazy like that. And I'm just now barely getting in the hang of it because I'm putting in the reps. So do more and you will become more efficient at what you do, more engaged with what you do, and you will ultimately then be able to make better better decisions on how to streamline and do more with less. And chances are you don't need a whole lot of fancy stuff, right? If you actually know what you're doing, your equipment and your tools, and this goes for across many different fields, your equipment and tools, the more refined you become at that one task, that one thing that you're doing, that you're putting the reps in, you are likely not going to need a huge palette of all these different things, right? Like people who wear makeup every day or practice makeup every day, they may have started off when they got first getting into makeup with a giant palette with 100 different colors and this kind of thing. And unless you're like a makeup influencer on YouTube or whatever, you will likely by now, after having done it for months and years and many, many reps, putting in the reps of putting on the same eyeshadow every time, you probably used like 3 or 4 shades, when back when you started, maybe when you were a teenager, you used all the colors, right? And you were like experimenting and you looked like some kind of crazy clown person. So whatever you're doing, volume and quantity, and do more. And absolutely, please give yourself permission to be really bad at it, okay? And I cannot emphasize this enough. You will suck at whatever it is you're doing, no matter how much research you do first, no matter how hard you try, no matter how much you think that you're doing all the right steps in the right order. If you are embarrassed about what is going to come out of your reps, you are not going to be able to progress. You're not going to be able to put in those repetitions. So please, whatever it is you're trying to do, embrace doing it badly. It's okay to suck. The person who actually shows up is already miles ahead of everybody who didn't even show up and do the work. When I remember the very first bodybuilding competition that I saw, that I brought a client to, and I remember watching this bodybuilding competition and speaking to the people there and seeing how so many of them were just so nervous about getting up on stage. And as the age categories, because it's all divided by age groups, right? As the age categories progressed in the men's categories, as we were watching, we noticed that, yes, there was a couple teenagers, there was quite a few 20-something-year-olds, quite a few 30, 40-something-year-olds, so a little fewer 40-something-year-olds, fewer 50-something-year-olds, and then 60-year-olds. There was one guy, just one guy, okay? And this one guy, he, after seeing these shows take hours, right? So I was watching hours of these tanned, buffed, muscly men of all different ages walk up on stage, flex, and just pour their heart into these routines that they've been working so hard in and really putting in the reps in. And that's one of the reasons why I absolutely love bodybuilding, because I know how many reps in both nutrition and weightlifting go in there. But, you see this parade of bronze, muscly, beefcake kind of guys. And then comes out this one guy in the 65 to 70-year-old category, and this guy, he walks out on stage, no spray tan, didn't shave for this thing. He walks out there in his Speedos, and he is so white and has this giant protruding round Grandpa Santa belly. Everybody else had these six-pack abs, and this guy comes out with this big belly and compared to everyone else, these scrawny little arms, but he's up there and he's flexing and he's posing and he's doing all the thing, and he won first place in his category. Why? Because he was the only person to show up in his category. And this is not like a cautionary tale against showing up. I am all for, the guy's name was Lenny, and they do everybody's bios as they come up. So Lenny the pizza guy won first place in his category in bodybuilding. I'm like, fuck yes, Lenny, you go, bitch. This is awesome, right? Because this is a person who, regardless of how much work they put in before the bodybuilding competition, they decided, you know what? I'm going to get out there. I'm going to try. I'm going to do. And he will learn more from being at that competition, going through the process, doing the poses. He did all the poses on stage, right? He will learn more from that process than somebody who was too shy to even think about going to the show at all, right? He will learn more. He will have a leg up in that process, so that if he decides, you know what, this is something I really enjoy, I want to do it again, then he can start putting the reps in. And maybe he decides, you know what, that was kind of dumb, I don't ever want to do that again, but hey, here's my first place trophy for showing up. Like, why the hell not? So what I'm saying is, you know, give yourself permission to pull a Lenny and just get out there and be terrible when you get started. It's okay. It will give you experience, and it builds character, right? It gives you the ability to try over and over again, and it keeps you curious, because when you mess up, that's when your brain lights up like, oh, I messed up, how do I make that better, right? And don't beat yourself up over it, because you are going to mess up. It is not like an if you mess up kind of thing. It is you are going to. Anytime you start something new, I don't care what it is, I don't care how simple it is, there's going to be some way in which you didn't do it perfect on the first try. And you know, there, of course, there's like beginner's luck, and there's these fluke things where somebody says, oh, well, I'm just naturally talented at doing this. But more likely they put in the reps without even realizing it. You know, when I was younger, I loved to draw. I still love to draw, right? I still do. And as I was, you know, in my teenage years, I was drawing a lot, and people would say, oh my gosh, you're such a talented artist. How are you so naturally talented? And I was like, I don't know. But I wasn't naturally talented. I just really enjoyed doing it and putting in the reps over and over and over again from a very young age. Talent had nothing to do with it. And so just keep that in mind. Do more and you will become more efficient. Do more reps and you will become more productive. And stay curious, and it won't feel like work. And I'll see you on the next